There's a reason you were canceled once already. Don't ever come back. Nothing you have to say is valuable. In fact, you are a danger to yourself, your kids, and society. Something must have happened to her between 2012 and today. L's in the chat. We lost another one. I used to follow you, but my, oh my, what has become of you? These people saying that they used to follow you, but oh, how you've changed. Yes, you have. All for the better. I'm telling you, Nikki, God pulled you out of what could have gone bad. I watched so many YouTubers become just like everyone, and you got in with the cool club, but then you somehow became crunchy and Christian, though I always was, and a mom, and I love it. Never stop. So today I'm touching on something that I haven't touched on in a while, and that is, I don't know if I've even touched on it at all, to be honest. And part of the reason is because even though clearly a lot of people think I have really changed, even though there were a lot of people that were like, no, if you're an OG Nikki fan, then you know she's been like this the whole time. She's just gotten more bold, which is really what I'm here to talk about today, because as you guys have probably seen on my channel and really over the last couple of years in general, but I guess again, or especially more so even lately, I have become more outspoken about what I believe in and what I'm really wanting to put out there into the world. You know, in a lot of ways, like I just said, the values that I hold have always been there. A lot of the things that I believe are things that I've kind of always believed for a long time. Now, not all of them. You guys know if you've been watching my journey. Back in the day, I used to think that I wasn't going to have biological babies for a lot of reasons. I believed in overpopulation. I believed in limited resources. I believed that there were a lot of kids, although this has more nuance to it, in the foster care system or just in the world in general that needed to be adopted, that needed homes. And most importantly, I did not believe that there was anything special about duplicating my own DNA. And those are probably some of the biggest changes that have happened. And a lot of that has happened because of everything that has happened on the internet in the last few years. You know, not all of it. You guys know I already had a baby prior to our cancellation, which is a really big part of why I've changed, why I've become more outspoken, because everything that happened to us was so surreal and so outlandish that I feel like God really worked on my heart and is still working on my heart in going in a direction towards emboldening me to speak on the things that are important to me as a mom, as a wife, as an American. Those are issues ranging in the topics from like health and wellness to home, to relationships, to mothering, which I think that all of those things kind of fall under that umbrella of mothering. You know, that was my response to someone who had asked me like why I changed, like what happened to you? I was like, well, I had babies and I got canceled. And both of those things dramatically changed my paradigm, I guess you could say, the way that I see the world. Once you are drugged through the mud in a way that is so unfair and untrue, it completely alters the way that you see things. And in some ways I've spoken up about it. In other ways, I haven't. I'm actually hoping to speak more on everything that unfolded here in the next few months, if that's what God has for me. That's kind of the plan. And it was absolutely horrifying. And the crazy thing is, and I talked about this briefly in one of my Q&As recently in regards to that girl that was kind of canceled on TikTok for talking about unschooling. For whatever reason, we live in this culture now where people not only clip things out of context and then have the audacity, side note, to sit there and go, do you even know what context is? This was totally in context. As I'm like, dude, your listening skills are horrible. Like, no, that wasn't the context. But also, people tend to project and assume the worst about what people say. And so it's really a trip to like know your own heart, know your motives, know why something unfolded the way it did, and then see people take it and run with it and assign motives, assign intent to you, absolutely assume the worst and take moments of what you've said and then plaster that as like your everything. And that's what it was. It's seriously a trip. And I told you guys, it taught me a lot, not only about how I absorb information from other people, how I consume things, how I see situations, but also it really made me reevaluate this idea of like, caring as much about what other people think of me. I was just talking about this today and last night, and I've mentioned this, I think, recently in one of my Q&As. I feel like I have a thing in my personality that is simultaneously a superpower and also a weakness depending on the situation. And what that is pretty much everyone that I meet. No, I'm not gonna say pretty much. Everyone that I meet, my eyes and my heart tends to go towards or notice the things within them that I like. That is why generally I like most people. And so it's just, like I said, I think that can be a superpower. I think it can also be a weakness because at the same time, I don't end up ultimately really liking everyone, but I do kind of tend to see immediately the things that I like in people long before I see the things that I dislike in people. You know, seeing so many people assume the worst in me, like I said, assign motives to me. And most importantly, this is the thing I was going to hit on before in regards to that video with that chick that was talking about unschooling, taking your words at face value, quote unquote, being like, oh, you said that, you said this, these were your words, and then not actually like taking what the person meant, if you know what I mean. Like I was messaging with a friend about this who was like, it drives me crazy when people don't actually pay attention to, like I said, the whole context / the actual energy of what someone meant when they said something. It's just wild to me. Things can be twisted in so many different ways when you just take, oh, you said it, you said it. It's like, dude, that is not what that person meant. Case in point, the unschooling thing, this idea of we don't teach our kids anything. They don't literally mean they don't teach their kids anything. So for you to take that line and run with it just is nonsensical, outrageous, and honestly false and misrepresentation of the person. And that is definitely what happened to us. And that is definitely a part of what opened my eyes and changed me, as some people said, in regards to my boldness and the things that I'm willing to put out there. Now, in some ways, I've always been an open book. That's what got me in trouble in a lot of ways in the first place, was my desire to actually be honest. And it kind of turned into, like, I guess you could call it an oversharing situation. Although I don't even know if I'd call it that, because I've realized now that people / the media twist everything. Like, even if you're not oversharing, people are going to twist things if they don't like you, if they don't agree with your worldview, if they want to take you down. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah, you know, after everything happened, I felt like I had a couple of choices. One was to fold and completely be crushed. And I definitely lived in that space and debated living in that space forever for a couple of months. I walked around crying for like 3 months straight. I felt so misunderstood. And even when I came back, once I realized, like, okay, that's not the space that I'm going to live in. That is not what I feel like God has called me to. And I came back, people proceeded, as I said all of this, to be like, look at her feeling misunderstood. Well, you said it. You put these things out there. Oh, we just took the words that you said. So in the spirit of it not mattering, I just say again that a lot of that emboldened me and made me realize that, like, hey, like I said, as a believer, as a mom, as a wife, as an American, I want to and need to and feel called to continue to share the things that have been important to me for forever. You know, I'm actually friends with a podcaster up here now who was a co-host, or he would sub in for another very, very popular podcaster, radio host. Well, he was a radio host back then, that I used to listen to like a decade before I ever started YouTube. When I would drive to work, I would listen to this radio show host. And a lot of these things that I'm talking about are things that I have been passionate about for forever. Things that I purposefully had to keep more on the down low because people were so hostile towards these ideas that I just felt like, hey man, like, I'm not trying to create any enemies, and I'm still not trying to create enemies, but I just kept things more on the down low. And that really is the point. Once I got canceled, I realized that it doesn't matter. Your intent doesn't matter if you're not trying to create enemies, if you are genuinely trying to do what you think is the right thing, if you've had professional advice, if you share all of the details and go, no, this is the whole story. I'm going to make an hour-long video explaining it. It doesn't matter. And so really having that realization, having it be essentially smacked in my face and essentially losing everything really made me realize, wow, it doesn't matter. It's a feeling of like, if you're going to twist my words anyways, if you're going to take me out of context anyways, then I might as well actually speak my truth. And if someone can feel more emboldened, less alone, or they do change their mind, which I feel like is not that common, but at the same time, I do meet people actually, I've met a lot of people that have come from one camp to the other camp, though I don't know that I'm going to be part of changing their mind, but that could be part of it. Then I think that it's worth it. And I feel like God has given me these passions and these desires and these interests for a very long time for a very specific reason. And a lot of people have commented on how my channel is dying. And I just want to be like, bro, my channel has been dying for like forever. Like, I've confused the algorithm upside down, left, right, sideways, like it's confused, combined with the fact that like, who knows if shadow banning is real? Like, I definitely speak on topics that could get one shadow banned potentially. But what I really wanted to address is like, what's next? You know, moving forward, moving on. What's next? But before I move on, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, to one of my favorite products in my home, and that is Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough. The cool thing about Bioptimizers is not only do they make an incredible product, I have been using this magnesium for the last year and a half, and it's literally changed my life. It is so amazing, not only for sleep support, but also for stress management. If you're someone who ever struggles with restless leg syndrome, this stuff is incredible. It is helpful for digestion. If you struggle with headaches, magnesium might be a part of that picture. The extra cool thing about Magnesium Breakthrough is it's actually 7 different types of magnesium in this one pill. And what's really great about that is there are lots of different types of magnesium, and they do different things within your body. And so if you're not taking the right magnesium for a specific type of like ailment or thing that you're trying to help with, it may not be able to help with that because there's a bunch of different kinds. So by taking 7 different kinds in one pill, you are upping the likelihood of your body being able to properly absorb and use the magnesium. Seriously, I can't rave about this stuff enough. I love it. I have a link that I will put right here and down below if you want to check it out. I also have a discount code that's like part of the shindig. And a really cool thing about Bioptimizers is, in general, the company shares my values. And so that's something that is really important to me, not only like moving forward, working with people after going through everything we went through in the last couple of years, but just in general. So I'm going to have this link down below. Seriously, magnesium is like a supplement that I think everybody should be taking because it's so hard to get it in our diet and we burn through it so fast, and it's so helpful just in your day-to-day bodily functioning or functions. Seriously, so check that out. And on that note, that's something else I wanted to say is that a lot of people, someone had commented to me, they're like, girl, you need your big audience because otherwise you'll lose everything. And you want to know what my first thought was? I already lost everything. And I didn't literally lose everything. I have my family. I have a home that we were able to land in Idaho, and I'm so grateful for it. Literally every night when I'm praying with my son, I just thank the Lord for the gift of delicious food that we have, our home, our bed, our cozy home, our family being nearby. So they didn't literally take everything, but they did take everything in the sense that like, I don't have anything to lose at this point by sharing what I deem to be truth, what I deem to be important. All of our sponsorships were taken away from us. We lost everything, and it happened within like a 36-hour period. It was insane. And one thing rolled to the next thing. As you guys know, it went from misrepresentation about how and why we put Bowser down. It went from that to lies about our adoption journey and complete misrepresentation of who we are as people, as parents, why we do what we do. And so all of that motivates me to now continue to share in an even more bold way what is important to me. So what, as I'm sipping my tea, hold on. So what you can expect moving forward is more content of me sharing my heart. If the last 3 videos, if you didn't see them and you want to check them out, they're definitely spicier. Feel free to check those out. Although someone in the comments was like, hey, like you didn't, basically like saying I didn't used to share opinions that spicy. I'm like, have you watched my other Q&As from even like 1, 2, 3 years ago? Because once I came back from everything that happened, I pretty much did start sharing that. I just peppered in a lot more vlogs. One of the things I have planned for the future is actually starting a new podcast. I'm going to change the name. I'm going to start over. I'm going to be uploading all of my chatty content to podcast because so many of you basically said to me, you're like, can you please put this on a podcast so I don't have to drain my battery when I'm on the train or walking my dog or whatever. And I have a very long list of people that I want to interview. As much as I like talking to the camera by myself, I really love people and I like talking talking to people. And a lot of the times I just think, man, I just want to talk to them on my channel. And so I'm going to make that happen more. I've done a lot of interviews. She is waking up. She hears me talking, that's why. And so I have a lot of people that I want to bring onto my channel and have what I deem to be really important conversations. I've actually got my next 2 interviews lined up already. They're totally different people, but I'm stoked for them. I do hope to return with more vlogs that will continue on my channel, although my alternative views and lifestyle, I feel like make themselves apparent as well in my vlogs, because apparently now everything is controversial, including raw milk. It's just wild. But I haven't been able to put out as many vlogs lately because it is more time consuming to not only film them in some ways, but also to edit them. And in a lot of ways, I'm still kind of getting back on my feet like postpartum. I have not been cooking as much lately. I've been doing a lot of basic food meat for meals. Like I've been eating steaks and grilled chicken and salads and fresh fruit and some vegetables, but honestly, not that many vegetables, mostly salads, fruit, and grilled meat. I've had some pasta dishes that I love. I mentioned that in my last Q&A, but like I went from preparing a cookbook, which a lot of you guys have asked me if I am planning on releasing that cookbook, and I am, but it's nowhere close to being done. I did not realize when I embarked on that, like just how much work it was going to be. Like I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but it's like a lot of work. And honestly, the perfectionist in me just wonders like, when am I going to release this? So I feel like at some point I am going to have to just like hone in and just put it out into the world and release it. But there is part of you that like, when you're going to put something out like that, you want it to be good. You're like, I want everyone to know that like they can expect good work from me and good food from me. And so I do simultaneously feel a little bit perfectionistic and protective over it. But if I continue with my pattern that I've had my whole time on the internet, I will eventually get over it and I will eventually release it. It's just taking a minute. Also, I had been working on like a cooking / nutritional course prior to getting pregnant. It's actually kind of funny because speaking of this whole like, you've changed, you're so different. A lot of that course had to do with imparting my worldview. And some of it seems a little conspiratorial, has to do a lot with food freedom, the food that's actually available to us, the way that seeds have been altered, seed patents, like just becoming aware of what has been done to our food system, particularly here in the States. And I think that knowledge is power. Just because you don't necessarily have access to certain things that I think are important, that it's not worth knowing, because knowing these things not only I think helps to create change, but also can help empower you as you're shopping. It can help empower you as you cook food for your family. So I don't know what is going to happen. I still may do the course at some point. I mean, geez, I put so much work into all of that. It's just a lot has happened, right? I got sick for 9 months with my pregnancy. And here I am kind of just coming out of, like I said, the postpartum phase, just getting back into the swing of things. And my meals have been very simple. And so I say all of that to say, I actually have a vlog coming up that I filmed recently. So I am vlogging, but they're harder to edit. They're harder to produce in this season. And so I'm just going to keep uploading what I love, what I feel called to. And obviously I am open to requests and I like the conversation. I like the back and forth comments. And so even if there's talking videos you specifically want me to cover, like I said, not only is it weird to say that like talking is a passion of mine? Hey, listening is also a passion of mine. Okay. It's not just talking. So, but it's a passion of mine. So if there's topics that you want to request, please send them my way. Because these are much easier to film and they're a passion. I've screenshot a couple of comments that I got from you guys recently. Someone was just DMing me last night asking me some specific questions that I think I'm going to address in an upcoming video. And it's pretty controversial, so I can confuse the algorithm even more. But in all seriousness, guys, I have changed. I'm probably going to continue to change. If you're not continuing to change throughout your life, then I think that's actually a problem. I've said this before, but there's nothing in nature that stays stagnant that is healthy. If water is pooled and sitting there, it's not good water. It has to keep moving. Everything is either growing or it's dying. And so I hope that in the pursuit of growth that yes, I keep changing, that I keep developing. And just like I have for the last, we're going on 14 years. 14 years of my life, I'm going to continue to share it. I'm going to continue to bring you guys into my world. And I just appreciate you all. Like, yes, the hate has sucked. It really stinks when people come for you. But also, God has really thickened my skin. He's really emboldened me. And every single day of my life, I pray for the Lord to give me his armor, to give me his courage, to give me his guidance, his peace, his strength, his wisdom. Every night I pray for the following day. I say, Lord, I can't do this without you. And so please guide me. And I don't just mean that because I'm here on the internet. Like, I mean that just about life in general. I can't do it without the Lord. And so I just pray that he continues to guide me to share what it is that you guys, can you guys hear baby? She's waking up from her nap. That he'll continue to guide me to share what you guys need to hear. Not like I'm so wise, but I know that God works through content online, and I pray that he can work through my content to encourage you guys, to maybe give you a different perspective or whatever he's going to do through my work. So that's that. I'm going to go now because that's pretty much all I wanted to say. It's lunchtime. Baby's waking up. I need to pump, and I will, God willing, see you guys back here soon with another new video. Bye, guys.